What's up, everyone? It's Stevie, and we're back in Roblox Islands, and today we're going to be covering the top 15 things that I think Islands needs. Now, this list is primarily going to cover a lot of new things that the game needs to, really give us a lot more to do in the game beyond the classic, factory and farming and such. I think a lot of us who have been playing the game for a long time are just looking for something new and exciting. However, some of these items will be quality of life improvements for things that are much, much needed for us to be able to continue to play in the game, because I don't know about you, but I am tired of my island crashing. That's right. My island crashes a lot when I'm published, so there's also some other aspects of this, but we're going to go straight into this list. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. So starting with number 15 is the ability to have a low quality option. What does that mean? Well, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of frame rate lag on a lot of islands, and I'm running a really good machine that can run the latest Call of Duty at max 4K, okay? So my machine is not lagging. I can play the latest and greatest of games, but I still get a lot of frame rate lag, especially when all these animations are going on with some of these islands. There's just way too much animation now in the game. So as well as little effects, I know those little effects can kill most devices, especially on mobile. So imagine being on an older mobile device. So this is not a new concept or idea, but having the ability not only for turning on and off shadows, but just a little low quality option, which it would just essentially, all that would do is turn off all these animations in the game. So anything that animates, like visual effects wise, would just especially all the particles and such. So I'll show you what I mean by this. So you can see like these little effects right here would turn off. Any visual effects, all this smoke right here, see these animations right here, those would be turned off. Anything that has animations that might slow down older machines or even like mobile phones and tablets. The reason why I say this is I know for a fact that these do impact frame rate a ton, even like these little fireflies and such, but these do impact frame rates quite a bit. So the idea here is mobile players would be able to have a way smoother experience, and on top of that, shadows would be turned off by default. So, and I don't know about you, but I think these little wind streaks that come around, they do kind of cause a little bit of lag for me on some of my older devices. So again, a low quality option I think would improve the experience for everyone, because the game used to be a lot less laggy, and then as of course they start improving things visually, it's just started getting laggier and laggier. Next up with number 14 is the ability to have rain affect crops. Not only rain, but also water. So imagine if you have a crop here and you got like a water bucket and you do something like this. Granted, don't do that because it's gonna do this. You gotta have something underneath it. But any crops planted around this water should get watered by default. So if I were to plow this like this, right? And if I plant crops here, then these should get the water effect or watered effect. These should be accelerated in growth. Similar to if I were to do this, right? It should look this dark because it's right next to water. So these crops here should technically be watered by this water, right? Because I put water next to it. This is very Minecrafty. I know it's Minecrafty, but I think because so much of this game is inspired by Minecraft, we do expect a little Minecraft, elements just to work. The other thing I feel is that rain should affect these as well. And not only should it affect crops, it should affect flower breeding too. So if I were to put two flowers right here, they should technically breed because I watered them, right? So like if I put another fertile flower here like this, these two should technically breed by default. I shouldn't have to do this because I put water next to these already. Likewise, if it rains, the rain should affect the crops and the flowers. So flowers should grow automatically through rain. That's just something we've been wanting since not only water came out, but also when the rain came in, we always thought, well, why wouldn't rain give all of these some kind of watering effect? Because it technically rained. All of this soil should be darkened by it. So again, just another way to improve the quality of life of the game and just make it a little easier, especially for those of us that, are breeding flowers or working on crops. Crops should grow faster from the rain. Again, this one's not like a make or break feature request, but it is something that we've been thinking about and wanting for a while now. Next up with number 13 is really piggybacking on the fact that we recently got this farming event, right? We got all these farm festival limiteds like the plow. So we got all this Cletus stuff, right? We have the Cletus Lucky Watering. We got all of these. I forgot who gave this idea. It was someone on a live stream. So thank you to whomever gave me that idea during the live stream. Forgot their name, but having a mining event. So similar to the farming event, except the difference being we're going around breaking rocks, right? Now, the only downside to these events is that there's a lot of hackers that come in and they tend to hack and completely automate everything. And then that's how we start getting all these limiteds that get duplicated in the economy because of scripters and hackers. So hopefully they could do something about that prior. So if someone's trying to hack and maybe auto mine stuff, then maybe we can find a way to prevent that. But that's always a lot more work for them to do. So chances are there's just nothing you can do about it. But a mining event with some limited items skills relating to mining, that would be really cool. Next up with number 12 is gifting. That's right, gifting not only game passes, but different items and such. I know animal skins have kind of like got sidelined for a while. Like we haven't gotten new, skins in a long time. The last one we got was Piggy Bank, and it's not that hard to create skins, I don't think. It's just another texture to put on the model. But ultimately the ability for us to gift these would be huge. I think VIP is kind of worthless for the most part. It's nice because you get like a few things here. You get a golden portal frame. You get a little extra increased harvest yield, whatever. But this is the one right here that I want to be able to gift. They recently started gifting in Bed Wars. I don't even want to say how much I've spent on gifting in that game. I won't even try to guess. I won't even try to guess how much I've spent on gifting. So mini games are a huge part of Islands, and I think all of us have done at least a few mini games in our time. Being able to build these and design these as a way to keep players busy on our islands is, one of the many things we like to do. We love to make mini games. This is a great example of an island that's published, and you can see they've created like hobbies, they've created mini games, and we like the ability to create these. And the problem is currently we do not have enough options to build for our obbies. We had the initial obby kit, which was great, but it felt like a little incomplete. What it was missing is a kill block. And so number 11 on our list is a kill block. And how does that work? Well, kill blocks are going to be something that essentially oofs the player. So after you mess up, if you miss a shot or you fall into a pit, there should be a way for us to essentially get reset, right? A forced reset in a sense, not a fall, but a forced reset. What does that mean? Like I said, if you walk into a block, it's a kill block. And so if you fall into the block, it immediately resets you. Typically speaking, we use the void instead. So, we fall, which in my opinion is still very laggy to have to do. So you fall over here and you teleport, and you fall and then you teleport. It's a similar function. Essentially what you could call it is a teleport block. A teleporter block, as soon as you touch it, it basically teleports you back to whatever, spawn there is. So it could be either called a kill block or a teleporter block. The problem is I would love for us, and we're going to cover this in a little bit, I'd love for us to have teleporters. It's a little further down on our list, but you can see there's lots and lots of obbies here. So you can see there's an obby up there, and then there's a little bit of this. This is more like a spleef, I think, kind of event. So this is just another idea for us to be able to expand on something that's already really, really great in Islands. So if you've ever built an obby, this feature would be for you. Next up is number 10, which is Island Invaders. How does Island Invaders work? Well, much like these little pumpkins that are, these little pumpkin bats that are spawning at night, instead they would invade your island at night and to either attack you or something of that nature. Now, this is a touchy one. This has to be executed very, very precisely because we don't want it to backfire, right? What if you're just, one of those players that don't like combat, don't want to have to deal with anything attacking you all the time? And, if that's the case, I think there should be solutions or workarounds with these invaders. But the idea of being on your island and being able to fight off invasions would be a lot of fun, especially if you can make it even in a sense that's a little bit more like tower defense. So imagine these invaders come through your portal and you can fight them off. So, maybe they're coming through your main portal here and they come out and then they start attacking you. I'd probably set it so that it has a requirement before they would ever attack you. And that, it has to be that you place down a special item. And by placing that item, you unlock the invasions. Because right now you have to go out to the different islands to be able to kill stuff. Invaders are just really interesting because they can add it as an event. Now, again, it has to be executed in a way that doesn't ruin the experience for new players, and it doesn't ruin the experience for players that just want to be left alone and don't want to have to deal with stuff like that. The other thing the invaders should do is drop you something really unique. So you should be looking forward to the next time they invade instead of like, oh, not again. They shouldn't be a nuisance. They should be really, really special. A great example is when you play a game like Bee Swarm. Maybe Vicious Bee attacks your field. What Vicious Bee gave you was stingers, right? These stingers, Vicious Bee stingers, the stingers are then required to be able to craft a particular item that's very special to you. Now, in the case of Vicious Bee, if you got at least, I think it was like 250 stingers from killing other Vicious Bees, you'd be able to unlock and get Vicious Bee himself. So again, just a great example of how invaders could be utilized for a lot of fun. Next up is number 9, which is a trade plaza. That's right, a trade plaza. What on earth, DV? Why would we ever want trade plazas? We have published islands. That is 100% true. We do have published islands, but currently we have no area that has trading technically. Yes, you could trade anywhere you want, but not a dedicated area. That's the same logic of Pet Sim X, right? So Pet Simulator X, yes, I've been playing the game a lot, but the thing that I really like about Pet Simulator X is if you go to their trade plaza, and I'm gonna go head there right now. So again, I'm in Pet Simulator X now, so check this out. Oh man, I almost want to say we need hoverboards too, but let's not go there. That's not on my list today. Future maybe. All right, so you can see here, this is the trading plaza in Pet Simulator X, and what's awesome about it is they have a lot of different resources. So they have like the various machines. So imagine you could have the different vendors and such, the NPCs for trading, kind of like the farming festival was. But you can see here, you got all these players congregating, and they're all looking for certain things. So you can look at the chat, OMG DV fan, how long till you can trade your exclusives. People are trading particular pets. You can see I'm selling, goals and please 7 million. So essentially how it could work is you can sell things for gems. Currently, that's not really possible in Islands, and I think it could be, and there can certainly be a tax for it. But, as you can see here, it's just like such an easy place for you to go and advertise and, list your items that you're looking for. It's a lot different than being in the hub. So the difference between this area and the hub is everyone here is looking to trade. Everyone's actively thinking, I want to trade. The difference is if you go to a hub, most players aren't even really wanting to trade, right? Most players there are selling their crops, they're doing other things and ignoring you. Whereas everyone here is attentive and ready to trade. The lobby size is pretty substantial, which is nice. And like I said, everyone here is ready to trade. They're ready to transact. So they sit here for a long time and pretty much just list and say, this guy right here selling such and such for a certain amount. And people are just trading, I'm trading this, I'm trading that, I'm looking for this and that. And so the great thing about a trade plaza, like I said, it's just a great place for you to congregate and trade. Why do we need a trading plaza in Islands when we have published Islands? Well, two reasons. One is free-to-play players have no place to technically trade their items. Not technically, like they have to go to different published Islands and spam, right? And that gets really annoying for published Islands when the people are trying to, spam that they're trying to trade things. So that's what's great about, the trade plaza concept here is that free-to-play players could then technically enter the economy and start trading with others. The one thing, you'd have to watch out for is getting scammed, but scamming is something that's just going to continue to happen no matter what if you don't know your values, and that's really on you as a trader to know your values. Next up is number 8 with item progression. What does that mean? Just balance overall to item progression. Currently, a lot of things are just way too expensive. Let me tell you, I went through 100 Days of Islands and I struggled on a lot of different items. And I think there would be some easy changes that the devs can make to really make this curve smooth, right? You want a smooth curve. So from a gameplay progression or difficulty standpoint, the game should be really easy at first, kind of like this hill, right? This would be a progression curve. It's very easy for us to go up these little hills, just slight, right? Little tiny little slopes here and there, and then it should get a little bit harder, and maybe get a little easier for a little while and then get harder, and then it can get really hard. This is where you start getting into the tier 4 bronze refinery, oil refinery, advanced tier stuff. But what it is right now is the game, you just start out and it's like pretty easy for a little bit, and then it goes straight up. Like this is like, I'm just trying to get a smelter, I'm just trying to get a steel press, I'm just trying to get a bronze refinery at some point, right? You're trying to get, a bronze press. You're trying to get all these things, and it gets really hard because most of the things in factory are required for typical gameplay. And that's the problem, is it's currently just way too hard. And so what we'd want to see is slight little bumps here and make it a little easier, and again, a little bit easier. And that could be things like getting to Underworld, getting to tier 4 and things like that. That's, I think that's where the curve should be. And currently right now, like I said, it goes straight up. So it's like you start here and it goes really hard. And I'm speaking from experience. I am a hardcore player. Like I play solo, I grind all this stuff, nonstop, and I spend hours and hours and hours playing the game. Whereas most players can't even afford that kind of time. Most players can only afford 15 minutes at a time. Typical Roblox game, you're lucky if you get a 15-minute session. So again, most players like to play around like 7 or 8 minutes inside of a game. So being a little bit more accessible as a game would be huge, so that players can start getting into their islands and really start building really cool islands instead of struggling so hard. And I think a lot of players get frustrated with the newer updates because the island progression is just way too hard. Now, this one is incredibly important to the game, not only long-term, but short-term for growth. So, obviously the player counts are decreasing. Game really needs to shake some things up to be able to start getting a lot more players and retain them. So this item right here is not, as much as it's not very cool to me or you, it could certainly make it so we have a lot more players playing the game, which is great for us and great for the team. Next up with number 7 is a popular sellers list. How does this work? You basically get on a special list. That's right. That's how you break through the noise. So you'd have 2 separate lists here. You'd have published islands and then popular islands. So popular islands would start here, and then all published islands would be over here. The reason why I say this is I think, being able to visit islands that are a little bit more established established and reputable should be prominent. So people that get a lot more traffic maybe, or are just on longer, or instead of popular islands, it could be a featured island. I think featured islands, being able to spend coins or rent a featured ad basically. So when you go and publish, you have the option here to publish sponsored. That would just take a bunch of money from your coin wallet here. So as long as you're published, that little sponsored ad would last, right? So each time you publish, you could publish, maybe it costs you like 2 million or 10 million coins, something like that. The next up is just as important as the sponsored or popular servers list, and that is seller improvements. Right now it is really hard for sellers to maintain a shop. What does that mean? Well, most shops crash. It's very easy for someone to crash your shop. If someone goes into your shop with a bunch of fireworks or static scepters, it's a good chance your server is going to crash, especially if there's a lot of players doing it. There are memory leaks going on in the seller shops, and what's happening is you can't really keep a shop open overnight if you have a lot of people visiting, because your server is pretty much going to crash. It's almost guaranteed to crash over a certain amount of time. So some things need to get disabled. I think on published islands, I would say fireworks need to get disabled. Static scepter needs to get disabled as well. I don't know when the last time I was able to, I think it was last year, when I was able to run a shop overnight and not see it crash by the time I wake up. Typically, nowadays you're lucky if your island doesn't crash after like 3 hours, or even within like 30 minutes if someone really wants to crash it. Next up is number 5 with teleporters. What on earth do you mean, DV? We got teleporters. No, we don't have teleporters. Actually, we have an obby flag and we have a spawn block. You have various areas in your island you want people to be able to go to. You want them to go to the Spirit Island. You have a portal right here. It says a little sign that says Spirit Island. You enter that portal, you go to Spirit Island. So you place down the entrance, and then the exit item is immediately in your block. And if you don't complete that, then both blocks go back into your inventory. So if you do something like this, like that, then this item would get deleted and it would just go back into your inventory. So your portal placement would get essentially reverted to the initial state. So the nice thing about this is you would have the ability, like I said, I can go and have portals to my different farms. So if I never had visitors on my island, maybe I just want to be able to get around to my island really quickly. I could have a portal here to my tree farm. I could have a portal here to my watermelon farm. I could have a portal here to my berry farm. I could have a portal over here to my workbench area. I could have a portal over here to the various island portals. So I could have different portals, even one to my shop. Maybe I have various areas of my shop that I want to be able to do. I can have multi-floor shops. This is floor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you have all the portals here, and you can go to the different floors. You can already do that with some obby flags and such, especially, but it's just a little bit of a pain to do it, and it's not very graceful. This would be a game changer for a lot of island builders, because this would just make things so much easier for them to navigate. Same for shops. This would be huge for shops, and this is why it is number 5 on our list. Next up is number 4 with island PvP. What does that mean? I'm not talking about islands PvP. I said island PvP. Essentially what this means is you having the ability to turn on PvP on your own island. Players have been asking this for probably, I want to say well over a year, almost since the game came out. We've been asking for this feature. The reason why a lot of players want PvP on their island still is a lot of them don't want to play Bed Wars. I think there's a lack of control and a ton of intimidation by players who don't know how to play the game very well. And especially now that the game is much harder for, players. Players are much better at the game. A lot of islands players just want to be able to PvP with their friends and mess around. And I'm not talking about Bed Wars. They just want to be able to go have a little battle, like a sword battle or a bow battle on their island. And so what this would also allow us to do is imagine Among Us on your own island, or imagine hide and seek. I can, kill you, but you can't kill me. So PvP settings would allow us to, kill each other, or, only the admin can kill you. So if I go up with my sword, I'm the owner, so I should be able to kill you. If I click on the, permissions right here and click and say, have a little PvP flag on and off. If I click that on your name, so I can say only these 3 players on this list, kind of like, build permissions, but instead of build, it says PvP. I click PvP next to your name. That means you can attack, and you can also mess around with players that way. It would just be a great way for us to be able to mess around with each other. I know the devs try to do a PvP arena for a while there, and I don't think that's what we've been wanting. Too intimidating, and it's not something that we've really, cared about having. It's kind of boring too. It's outside of our control as a player. Players just want to have fun, kind of like Tycoons. There's a reason why Tycoons have PvP in them, and a lot of players enjoy doing PvP with their friends on, various servers. And it's just a fun and friendly way to PvP. So you can kind of mess around, chase each other, have some giggles. It's really a casual form of PvP. We don't need anything that's crazy. We don't need leaderboards. We don't need ranking. We don't need, beds to break and such like that. But just some kind of mode that we can actually damage each other. And of course, if their health runs out, you can make it so they don't get oofed. They just get reset to the, spawn point. So prevents lag or anything like that for the players. But like I said, imagine as a hidden, maybe a seeker. I'm the seeker and I find you. I can kill you and set you back inside of a spawn point. And that way you can't, essentially play anymore. Or you could have a mystery murder style game where, you, the host, clicks on and puts a PvP on one player and they're the only one that can kill. And you have to, guess who the killer is. There's so much that we would unlock from a gameplay perspective on islands, having a PvP mode on our own islands, especially if the proper controls were in place to, make it so that I can turn on PvP for certain players and the rest would just be able to get damaged. It doesn't mean they can't take damage. It just means all of them would not be able to, hit back. So PvP is a big item. I think it would make a huge change in this game. And, for those that don't want to participate, they don't even have to opt in. They don't have to ever use PvP if they don't want it. Next up with number 3 is the ability to mass destroy things. That's right, a pickaxe that breaks lots and lots of items at once, like this. Now, of course, a lot of players would want this because they're going to want to be able to farm tons of ore at once. It could be damage based, like, almost like a splash damage. The most damage is in the center, and these get a little bit damage as well. So it's just a little easier for me to break them later or something. Just the ability to be able to destroy our islands a little faster would be huge. I know it's taken me forever to destroy stuff, and after a while, we just hate destroying things. So this would be a really great quality of life item for builders and just every player. Next up with number 2 is going to be player ranks. That's right, player ranks. Player ranks could be a really cool feature for the game. I think, as someone who has played Islands probably more than, I would say, at least the 1% of the audience of this game. I've played the game so much. I've spent so many hours. There's no way truly to reflect that. If you look at my balance right here, by the way, yeah, it says 280,000 coins. I spent all my coins on my cauldrons, my 200 and something cauldrons. But I have a bunch of coins on my alt still, so I just haven't transferred them over. So currently the game orders success or the most successful or top ranked player by coins. So the richer you are, chances are the better you are as a player, right? That is how the game is currently measuring experience or progression. So everyone's seeking to be the richest player in Islands because that is the only way to show up at the very top of this leaderboard. No matter what anyone says, this is a leaderboard. This is not a player list. This is a leaderboard. If you want a player list, you're going to hit escape and you're going to look at the player list. This right here is a basically server leaderboard. And currently the leaderboard says this person is number 1, right? This Enchanted Life is number 1 because they have 1 billion coins. However, would you say that I would be more skilled or experienced in Enchanted Life? I would assume you would say yes. I'm probably more experienced than this player. Am I richer than this player? No. What we're trying to say is currently the measurement of success and skill in this game is based on how much money you have. And I don't think that's the game a lot of us have been playing. At least that's not the game I've been playing. So you can see here, I've got farming leveled at 99, woodcutting's at 70, 73, and the game devs added this earlier this year because it was also going to balance the game quite a bit. And you can see I've got a lot of things almost maxed out. My combat's almost maxed out. My light melee is almost maxed out. Imagine if you could get ranks based on either your skills here, right? So a total of your skills. So some kind of progress bar. The more you have of these levels, the more ranks you can get, or based on the number of times I've restarted this. Imagine if I could reset this all to skill, almost like a rebirth, but not quite. It would be kind of like a rebirth, to be ranking up. But we don't want it to get like too simulator oriented where it gets kind of cheesy. And so again, there's just different ways to handle this. But I think, some kind of ranking system instead of coins or in addition to coins. I don't mind the fact that coins are up here, but I want to see a rank system that shows it's like this person's a master at the game, or this person over here is rank of royalty, or rank over here is mythical or a legend or something like that, to a point where you can tell that someone's new or not. But again, just another way for us to be able to play the game and grind the game for something else. Unless you have a trophy made after you, you wouldn't know I was a good player. And finally, with number 1 is hidden missions or something mysterious and hidden. I love it. I know you love it because I get the number of pings I get over various mysteries that you find on the various worlds and islands, even as subtle and useless as they are in the game. You love them. I love them. We need more of these. How secret missions can work, and not only missions, secret missions, but some other secret or hidden mechanic of the game could work is, if you ever played Creatures of Scenaria, they have a very similar system. So for example, you might have to attack another type of creature at a certain time of day or in a certain type of weather, and that's how you unlock the ability to get that creature. So kind kind of like, not quite like Blueprints, but kind of like it. But the difference being is it's not from killing something over and over, it's by doing something in particular. For example, maybe it's nighttime in winter and, you know, on a particular block that I need to destroy, or maybe a particular island I need to visit, or something of that sort, right? So you can only access certain things in seasons, things like that. And they're very hidden and only based on almost like a hidden achievement, right? So again, just something that we could do and seek out and try to find. A great example would be Pet Simulator X had a secret area. You had to type knock knock in front of a certain door inside the game, and you got access to a special hidden area. Very, very similar to that. Another idea of something being hidden and mysterious is it's kind of borrowed from Hypixel. Of course, you know, a lot of us don't want, you know, the Islands team to keep borrowing stuff from Minecraft, but it is a Minecraft inspired game. And so the ability to have something similar to the Hypixel, the Fairy Soul system, where essentially you're collecting Fairy Soul type items or hidden items throughout the world. But the downside of that is it's one and done, right? So if they, you know, imagine if they can introduce things on a regular basis to us, and that's how we get some of these really super secret items, even like pets like this. Imagine there's a really special pet or item you can get from completing achievements, or maybe, you know, more health. So instead of everything being based on skills, maybe you get like a really big damage buff, or maybe a speed buff so you can run faster if you do something or unlock something. So hidden achievements or missions would be huge in Islands, and I really hope the devs, you know, consider it, even if there's like a sequence of things we need to do. We love it as long as there's some kind of clue or hint that we need to find it. Players are going to go nuts about it, and I'll be getting all these clues and such to these secrets as soon as people start hearing sounds or they read text in chat based on something we did, right? RB Battles is a great example of how much people love this style of content, and I think we need more of it in Islands. Anyway, thanks so much for watching these ideas. Let me know what you think of them in the comments below. What would your ideas be as well? Love to hear them. Obviously, there's certain aspects of the game that need more, you know, polish and such, and that is certainly something I've discussed with the devs, you know, at length. So they are aware of those bugs. They're aware of the issues. They're, you know, they're aware that certain aspects need a little bit more content and polish. So I don't think those are going to go by the wayside here based on these new ideas. Like I said, let me know in the comments below what would be special to you. What do you like out of these ideas? I really need to finish my island. But thanks again, and I'll see y'all in the next vid. Peace. Oh man, this place is a mess.